Today I'm going to show you how to create sketches in Fusion 360. So let's start by switching over to our Fusion 360 software. And we're going to start up here in the toolbar and create a new sketch. Click a plane to start that sketch on. And then you can see we have all of these tools showing up at the top of different ways to create sketches, modify those sketches, and how to add constraints to those sketches. Let's start with a simple line. This is basically what it sounds like, a way to create very basic lines. And so you can use this. Notice how it kind of automatically can line up with this point. If you activate it by hovering over that point, it'll automatically snap to right angles and things like that. And you can create a very quick and easy square or rectangle. And then you can also hover along lines like this and you'll see this triangle pop up. And that'll just let you know that you are clicking the midpoint of that line. And it automatically snaps and constrains to those midpoints. You can also click a line and change it to a construction line. And a construction line essentially gives you something that you can add dimensions off of, but it won't show up as a profile if you're going to do something like an extrude. So if we go to extrude, you can see it only highlights the entire square to create an extrusion, and the construction line is essentially transparent to that. However, instead of using lines to create this, it's much faster and easier if we delete all of this. Let's highlight all of those, delete it. Let's just create a 2-point rectangle. And here in 2 clicks, boom, we have a rectangle, much faster and much easier than using simply a line. But if we want to, we can use our hotkey L and add some additional lines to this. Let's say we want to add that construction line back in the center right here. And that is pretty easy and fast to do. Also, you can come up here and create a circle, and you start with the center. Let's put that in the midpoint of that construction line. You can see that this circle is dotted because we still have our line type set to a construction. So we can simply click on the circle, come over here and change that to just a normal line. In this way, now this will actually show up when we go to do an extrusion. For example, we can click this area here and create an extrusion with a hole in the center. Or if you would rather just extrude that, that works as well. And you can extrude the circle. Okay, so those are 2 of the most very basic ways to create some sketch entities. Let's go through a couple more. If you want to get a bit more creative, you can use a fit point spline. In this way, you can click basically where you want that spline to start. Then you can click a few more points that allow you to control the curvature of that spline. And here, click the check mark, and that spline is created. And now we can grab on and we can adjust this. So it's essentially a line with some curvature to it that allows you to get a bit more wavy or some curvature to your sketch if that is something you want. This can pose a lot of potential difficulties when it comes to dimensioning and adding constraints, but it is good to know that that ability exists when you are creating a new sketch. Let's try to extrude this just so you can see what it will look like. Well, in this case, let's add a bit more to the sketch to better illustrate how it'll look if we go to extrude it. So let's just add a random line in there. And now let's extrude, and you can see that we can extrude with this curvature automatically designed into our body that we're creating here. So as I said, that is a spline. You'll use the spline tool in a lot of different situations. Maybe if you're doing more industrial design or something that requires a little bit more curvature or waviness, if you're trying to match, the surface profile of more complex geometries, something that we will get into a bit more in later tutorials. Okay, let's start over real quick here. Again, we're just going to highlight all of these, make sure we delete those. And I want to go through this mirror tool. So sometimes you want to mirror something that you just sketched. So real quick, I'll just sketch up something. I want some construction lines. Let's do one vertical. And then let's see, we'll do another one horizontal. Okay, let's add a circular or a circle here. Okay, now let's say we want to mirror the circle to the other side of this construction line. Well, that is pretty quick and easy. So the first thing you want to do is click your mirror tool. It asks you for the object that you want to mirror. Click the circle, the mirror line. So this is the line that we are mirroring this circle about. Click that construction line we just created, and we have another circle. Okay, and let's say we want to continue mirroring this. We can click both of these as our objects. A mirror line, let's click this horizontal one, and now we have 4 circles. And if we dimension this one, let's say that's 0.75, they all change with it because they are all mirrored from this original circle we created. So that is a really handy tool if you are needing to mirror some profile that you just created. Now let's go to some of the other constraints that we can use. And let's start with a 2-point rectangle. Go here. And then let's say we have a line and we just randomly place that line somewhere within this rectangle. Okay, let's go through some of our constraints. So if we click this line and we go up here to horizontal or vertical, it will automatically orient it either horizontally or vertically, depending on which one it is closest to. So that one obviously went vertical. Let's try this with a line that is close to horizontal, such as this one. And then we'll come up here and click horizontal, vertical, and boom, it makes that one horizontal. So if you want to constrain your lines to be horizontal or vertical, that is a very quick and easy way to constrain it. And let's go through a few more here. Let's say we want to create a circle. Again, I just use the hotkey C. Okay, we'll draw a circle there. And we want to add a line. Let's say that line comes off that circle, goes to this line somewhere. And you can see here that this line isn't tangent with the circle, but don't worry, there is a constraint for that. Okay, so we can simply come up here and go to tangent, click the circle, click this line, and it automatically constrains them to be tangent to each other. So that is pretty quick and handy. What else can we show here? We also have this equal constraint, so you can click that. And let's say we want the top of this rectangle to be the exact same length as the side. We make those equal to each other. And now if we dimension this one side, we'll make it 1.5. The whole thing scales as all of these sides are equal to each other. Let's go through just a few more of these constraints. Let's say we have another line coming off the side, going here as we continue just to make this random drawing, but it's a very useful way to demonstrate some of these constraints. We want to create a midpoint, so we click this line and this point, and it automatically constrains it to the midpoint of the line that we clicked first. So that is very quick, very handy. Sometimes it's faster than if you are creating a line and you want to like drag along this until the midpoint symbol shows up, which I showed you earlier. That is very helpful, but it can be quicker just to use the midpoint constraint. Now I want to show you also how to use this concentric constraint. let's say we have another circle that we are creating, and we want this circle to be concentric with this one. Well, that is pretty straightforward with this. Simply click both of those circles, and it automatically makes them concentric. So those are the constraint tools up here in your toolbar. We also have some modification tools that are very helpful to use and to know how to use. Let's start with the fillet tool, which in another video, I'll show you why it may not be the best idea to use the fillet tool in your sketch rather than on the extruded bodies themselves, but I'll get into that at a later point. For now, it's good to know that this exists and you can use it to add fillets in your sketch. So I just click those two lines, it automatically creates a fillet. You can say what you want the radius to be, and there it is. You have created quick, easy fillet within your sketch. There's also this trim tool. Now this is nice when you have overlapping lines like this, and you want to trim certain portions of those lines. For example, let's say we don't want this line crossing through the center of, well, through part of this circle. You can simply trim it away and it's gone. That does mess with some of your constraints, so it is important to understand what is going on when you do these trims, and you might lose some of your constraints. You may need to add constraints back or add additional dimensions. And that is essentially it for the basics of creating sketches. As I said, I will be creating some additional videos to show you some of the best practices for creating sketches when you are doing this in a professional setting. Especially, it is very important when other people are interacting with your CAD that you follow the best practices of how to create these things. That's it for this quick tutorial. Please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more videos coming out soon.